1 month after a terrorist murdered 8 people on a bike path in New York City, terror struck again in the Big Apple. This time, a Bangladeshi immigrant. His name, Ayed Ullah. He failed in his attempt to unleash death and destruction in New York City, in the subway system. Fortunately, his explosive vest detonated prematurely before people could be blown to bits during rush hour. Ullah and 4 other people were injured. The terrorist was taken into custody. Officials believe he was inspired by recent Islamic State Christmas attacks. How can America prevent future terror attacks? Dale Hurd reports that efforts must begin by first acknowledging the source of the terror, who is committing it, and why. He brings us this story about how political correctness has paralyzed the British government, leading to a failure to respond aggressively in the United Kingdom.
The British Parliament went into emergency session, urging Prime Minister Theresa May to cancel President Trump's planned visit to Britain next year. One MP even said the American president should be arrested if he sets foot on British soil. You might have thought Donald Trump ordered the sinking of a British battleship or insulted the Queen. What Trump did was retweet videos of alleged Muslim violence from a British fringe anti-Islamization group that the British establishment detests. While many considered the president's tweets a bad idea, especially since the factualness of one of the videos has been disputed, the whole episode showed again that the British establishment is obsessed with so-called hate speech, even more, some say, than the threat of terrorism. One response to Muslim radicalism in Britain has been to attack the critics, as if criticism of the problem is as bad or worse than the problem itself. 3,400 Britons were arrested last year for online hate speech. That usually means people who criticize Islam. Almost 10 times the number arrested for terrorism-related offenses, while British police have had to let suspects of other crimes go because of cutbacks. At the root of it all, say officials we interviewed, is the belief that criticism of Islam is a terrible thing. It's called racism, even though Islam is not a race.
Racism is the kind of 21st century equivalent of being accused of witchcraft in the 17th century. You're guilty until you're proved innocent. And of course, the process of proving innocent may well destroy you anyway.
Gerard Batten is a member of the European Parliament for UKIP, the UK Independence Party.
But you see, our political establishment is terrified of being called racist or Islamophobe because it's one of the worst things you can be accused of. Because once you've been labelled that and it sticks, that's the end of your career. You're not going anywhere.
The same British government that has devoted more money and manpower to stamp out criticism of Islam online dragged its feet when investigating a huge rape gang scandal involving mostly Pakistani heritage men who preyed on as many as 1 million mostly white English girls. The same government continues to allow the existence of Sharia courts and has hosted radical Islamic events on government property. We filmed this Palestine conference, which included known anti-Semites and terrorism supporters, at the government-owned QE2 Center, the same venue where a Christian conference on traditional marriage was banned. The other Trump tweet that miffed British leaders was when he told the Prime Minister she should care more about the terrorist threat facing her own nation. British police and MI5 are said to be monitoring 20,000 potential terrorists. There have been 5 terror attacks in 2017 alone that have killed more than 30 and injured hundreds.
Every day I fear another terrorist attack.
Raheem Kassam is Breitbart London editor-in-chief and author of No-Go Zones.
This is the new normal for us. Every day I wake up, check my phone and see where the latest terror attack has been. And yet we're still pulling this pillow over our head saying, la, 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 we can't hear you, we can't figure it out.
I thought in Manchester, when you have a bomb with children, that would really shock people. And it did shock people, but again, there is a fear of addressing what may lie behind it.
The British government seems almost obsessed with what it calls social cohesion. Think of it as government-enforced social harmony, backed up by the police. It's an attempt to keep a lid on boiling social tensions. But the social tensions are still there. And that means when it comes to criticism of Islam, or even the superiority of British values, free speech in Britain is gone.
If anybody was to talk about the superiority of British values over other people's values, they'd probably find themselves arrested and on a charge of racism or Islamophobia. And I'm not kidding. You have to be very careful what you say in Britain today.
Something we were all reminded of when the American president sent those tweets. Dale Hurd, CBN News, London.